Hello, I'm being frank with you. Happy New Year. I hope you've had a good festive season, a nice Christmas and a good start to the new year. It's the 1st of January 2018 and I thought I'd start the year with an update on the Chargemaster. It's probably the most popular vlog that I have. Not that my vlogs are very popular, but there's been quite a number of views and a lot of them very recently, so I thought it would be good to give an update. I've had the Chargemaster for about 7 months now, and I thought I could tell you about the good points and the bad points of having it. I suppose the good news is there are no bad points. I've only had one experience with the Chargemaster when it was not working, and that was because we had a power cut and it just knocked it out. In fact, it knocked out everything on the ground floor of our house. I've switched on the circuit breakers, and still there was nothing from the Chargemaster because the Chargemaster has its own circuit. Because we have a number of outbuildings around the house and different circuits for outside lighting, we have a different circuit board inside our garage next to the house. But then when the Chargemaster was put in, this was put in with it. And this is the Chargemaster's own circuit breaker. So when I flipped the switch inside the house to reactivate these, this one already had this circuit. But when I switched this back up again and put it on, everything was okay. These lights here, they started to flash in synchronicity, one after the other. I can't say that. And then after a few seconds, only a few seconds, it went to steady amber. And then when I plugged in the car, the green light came on and everything was okay. So I'm really pleased with the way the Chargemaster works, and particularly with the way it works in conjunction with the Tesla. Tesla owners already know this, but in the Tesla you are able to control the charge current which comes in. So you can adjust this and make it bigger or smaller, and for the Chargemaster system this can go all the way up to 30 amps. And at that 30 amps with 240 volts you get a charging speed of about 18 to 20 miles per hour. Now, people would say that the Tesla used a lot more power during the winter than it does during the summer, and this was attributed to the battery being colder in the winter than it is in the summer. And I suppose that makes a little bit of sense, but I did not want to believe it at first, and I thought, of course, during the winter it is dark, so you use the lights. During the winter it is cold, so you use the heating system, and all this must have a drain on the battery. So I did a couple of experiments, and I know you think I'm crazy, but one day I drove to work and I had my hat and my gloves on inside the car because I turned off the heating system completely, and I just drove along, and it was very cold inside the car. Did it save a lot of energy? It saved a little bit of energy, not a lot. Of course, during the winter it is dark. You can't very well drive along the road with no lights on, so I don't really know, without doing calculations, how much electricity is used by the lighting system. But it is true, when your car is cold, when the battery is cold, then you do use a lot more power, and I mean a lot more power. During the summer my trip to work is 26 miles, and that 26 miles I sometimes use only 24 miles of my range. During the winter I can use 40 miles of range to do that same journey. Now, people say it's better if you preheat the battery. Yes, this is true, and Tesla has now, in the Handy app, has introduced this new feature whereby instead of switching on heating for the car and it only lasts for 30 minutes, it will now just run as long as the car is plugged into a charging point. The other thing it will do, if it sees that the battery is too cold, or the outside temperature is too cold, then it will start to preheat the battery, and it will keep it preheated until you need to use the car, as long as you are plugged into a charging point. Thinking a little bit further, you know, if you go on a trip, you want to go on a holiday during the winter, you want to go and get some winter sunshine, then you may be away for 14 days. You put your car in the airport car park, and for 14 days there is always this draw on the battery, because the battery has to be kept warm, and the car knows this, and it does what it can to keep it warm. So I was thinking maybe it would be a good idea if car parks in airports had a section for charging vehicles where you could plug your car in and just leave it plugged in all the time you are away. Do you know, it would be worthwhile to spend the money, and it would be worthwhile for them to charge you the money in order to be able to do this. Obviously, you cannot go away for 14 days and just plug your car into a public charging point. That would be unethical, very unreasonable, inconsiderate. This is one of my big things. I've had a problem with a charging point up north near Inverness where they say it is only for a certain type of car charging for the local club. They have a local club where they car share, and they say it is only for their vehicles. But I know it is branded with the Charge Your Car emblem, and that is the way you get to access it. But every time you go to it, it is blocked by their cars. And I've said this is not fair, and they say, oh, we are doing you a favor by allowing you to use our charging network. Yeah, but you bought into the Charge Your Car system. You got the grant, you got the whatever monies were available for that. So no, you cannot just say, oh, now we've got this, it's only for our vehicles. Anyway, that is another point for another talk. Getting back to charging the car, I went through a long period where I was trying to do a calculation when I parked the car at night and plugged it in at home. I would think, okay, I have 10 hours before I need the car again, so if I just average out the charge, what do I have to have as an amperage in order to have the car ready for my use at exactly the point when it is finished charging? And that worked for a while, but then that really doesn't preheat the battery all that well. Talking to some other Tesla drivers, they say, a bit like driving a normal diesel or petrol car, you want to heat up the car, drive the thing. And it's the same with the Tesla or any other electric vehicle. If you want to really heat up the battery, drive the car. That heats it up better than any preheating or any charging system is going to do. But of course, for those first few miles, and I say the first few miles, it can be as many as 15 or 20 miles while it preheats the battery, you're not going to get good energy usage. You're going to have an energy usage at 450 watt hours per mile. I was just looking down at the dashboard of the car to see that my last journey, my last 15 miles is 354 watt hours per mile. And that's not really very good when at the end of the summer I was looking at a figure of I think 280, maybe less, 270 watt hours per mile. I now see it has gone up to 290. And I'm disappointed about that because of course you don't want to spend a lot of money on electricity if you can help it. Having said that, during the last couple of weeks I know I've been using the app on the phone a lot more just to heat the car up where we were at concerts or in the shops, and half an hour before I was due to go back to the car I would be punching in the numbers and saying, okay, heat up my car please, because I don't want to go back to a cold car. And it's nice, particularly when it is frosty or even snowing. You go back to your car and the windscreens and the back shield is all clear, whereas other people, their car looks like an igloo. Although I did have an experience 2 weeks ago where the car had been left overnight and we had, I don't know what you call it, an ice storm, when it was raining and then freezing very soon afterwards. The car was like an igloo. It was difficult to open, the door handles were very slow to come out, and the door mirrors, they did not open up at all. I had to go and get some warm water and just pour it very gently over the mirrors, and gradually they opened up. It's not something I would recommend if you've got time just to let it defrost. But the other thing is, if you are in a time of cold weather, when you're parking the car at home, take off the automatic folding of the mirrors and just let them stay sticking out, because you don't want to have to mess about with bottles of warm water pouring over the mirrors first thing in the morning so that the mirrors will come out. Yeah, I think that's about all I want to say about charging. And now I'll get on with my new year, my 1st of January day. And I hope you enjoy yours too. This afternoon my wife and I went for a walk around the garden. It was very wet. It rained so hard last night that sometimes it was not like rain, it was like water being poured on top of the roof of the house. Thank goodness we have a bit of new roof. So garden is really wet. All the snow has gone. I collected some of the wood from the wood store because we are burning through an awful lot of wood because the wood burning stove is on all day long. So I think that just about finishes off the day, the first day of the new year. I hope your new year is going to be really, really good, really awesome, as they say in Canada. And bis zum nächsten Mal. Tschüss.